Good morning. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jacques Buffieres. I am a truffle grower and processor. I have developed a range of truffle-based products and processed products using truffles under the name of Clos du Moulin Truffle Maker. We have a high-quality truffle, as in all the truffle-producing regions, and the quality of the truffle is mostly linked to the seasonality and to the maturity of the truffle. That is, at the very moment that we find it. We can see that we have terroir, that is, the land hardly influences on the quality on the truffle and taste, but it's important to harvest the truffle when it's ripe. When we need to have good dogs that can detect the truffle when it's completely or fully ripe. So I'm going to show you a truffle as we have just dug it out. And what we find in the market are generally truffles that have been washed and cleaned, because in the market we have to sell them perfectly clean and washed. If we have a truffle with earth, is one that has just been dug out of the ground, what we do is we wash it to be able to soften the earth it has. We clean it with this little brush and we brush it. We have to know that we can let the truffle soak for just a few minutes and will not affect the quality. It will not change the quality of the truffle because it's not a spongy product. And of course, afterwards, we have to dry it very well. We have to use this kitchen paper. It will allow us to remove the excess of humidity. To judge the quality of a truffle, what is really important is the texture. We have to have a truffle that is very firm, very hard to the touch, because we have a sensation of softening. We can suspect that either it's overripe or that maybe it has frozen. So in terms of quality, this is not a good sign. A truffle has to be very firm when we touch it. Afterwards, we will do this type of cut that we call canifage in French. We do it on both sides. Why? Because a truffle can be very healthy on the one side, and maybe the top part of the truffle could have been affected by the frost. A part touches the ground and a part can be affected by the frost. So the upper part of the truffle may have been somewhat affected. Afterwards, I'll show you. And we see if there's been any type of degradation. The frost does not make the truffle unfit for consumption. It means that it will not be kept as long and it must be consumed quickly. So we have to cut it on the both sides to make sure that we have a good quality truffle. So after cutting it, we make sure that it's firm, and to make sure that it's melanosporum around the cut, we see that the edge is a little bit reddish, we could say. Here we can't see it very well because we're at the end of the season and the truffle is very ripe. This phenomenon called peridium is not well seen now, but it's a trait precisely of the melanosporum. Then here we can see the veins, the so-called veins. The truffle has to be a deep black. I cannot show you a truffle that is not mature because we don't have anywhere at the end of the season right now, but it's important to have a black truffle at the beginning of the season. That is December. In December, they're dark beige or brown, and this means that they're immature, that they're not ripe yet. And the white veins are less pronounced. So at the end of December, January, then is when we start to see the main characteristics of the truffle, dark in color, and the veins inside. This truffle, you can see it, I've cut it. It has a very intense dark color, very marked veins. So this truffle is of a very good quality. It hasn't been affected by animals or anything else, because among the defects that we can find in truffles, we are in nature, of course, It may be attacked by rodents, small field mice. There you can see the teeth, the marks. It's not a bad symptom. It means that the truffle is good. Then we may have truffles with little holes. Maybe an insect, as there's a small red insect that can attack the truffle. It's not good, it's not suitable to trade, but it doesn't really affect the quality nor the taste. But it's not appealing, really. But these truffles have to be discarded because they're not nice, but you can eat them perfectly. This is part of the small defects that we can find in our truffles. But the biggest defect of a truffle is like this one here, where we have this corky aspect. It confers taste. It tastes like wood, for example. And this happens in truffles that have have suffered water stress. This means there's been a drought spell and the truffle tends to dehydrate. So this gives place to a corky truffle. It can appear here in truffles like this one here. Here we can see the dehydrated part here on the outer part, but it can happen like with this truffle here, where we have this woody part, we could say, in the middle. And here we can see that we have the dehydrated part right in the middle. This truffle is very mature. It has no veins practically inside. And now at the end of the season, we can find truffles that are excessively ripe. Here we see the veins of one truffle and the others. Here practically we cannot see any. This means that it will have a lot of aroma, but the truffle won't be well preserved. You'll have to eat it quickly, but it is going to produce chocolate aromas or even alcohol aromas, but these are very good for consumption. But when we have these other type of truffle, when we cut it, it smells like wood. Of course, if you cut it on the one side, it's okay. On the inside, it's okay. But on one side, it's okay. But in the middle, we find this problem. Of course, when you buy a truffle, if it has a defect like this one in the middle, it's very difficult to know it in advance. And in the case of a frosted truffle, like this one here, it has been partially frosted. The first problem that we find is that it's soft, because the ice has been deteriorating the product. And when we cut the truffle, we can see that we cannot see the white color of the veins inside, and it frosted on the top part. When we smell it, we don't notice it, only when we touch it. So this means that this truffle will have to be eaten quickly because we cannot preserve it. Another problem we can have, and it happens when we have hot seasons. It can happen in winter or during summertime when we have a strong sun during the day. There's a fly that lays eggs on the truffle. It's a very specific fly because, as a matter of fact, our ancestors, what they did is they harvested the truffle with the fly. They saw the fly and they knew that it was going to lay the eggs on the truffle. So that's how they were able to find the truffles. So we can get truffles that are mature or very ripe and on which the fly has laid the eggs. And then we have these worms. You can't see it when we cut it, but here, for example, these little holes or these galleries, it means that we had little worms or little maggots. This cannot be consumed, okay? If it's only on one side, it can just be eliminated, cut off, and you can eat the rest of the truffle. But in principle, we won't be able to keep this truffle for a long time. And you can notice it when you take it because it's soft and it's not firm as a good truffle should be. And this is what I wanted to say about the quality of the truffle. And I hope that all my little tips will help you to recognize a very good truffle.